Jimmy Kimmel picked up a little trophy, but he might be feeling more than mopey because it looks like, yes, Disney's not so funny dopey of late night might be going away after this season. We've got more to say. We've got the stuff. We'll bring it to you. Folks, we can never get enough of keeping you ahead of the culture curve, especially when it relates to the genuinely terrible Jimmy Kimmel. Hello, folks, and welcome back yet again. We're so happy that you are heeding the call to understand what's going on in the Hollywood halls of Hollyweird. As we get ready to dive into yet another video of excellence, click the like button, and in the comments below, let us know, is there a late night show that you're watching, whether it's Gutfeld, whether it is Bill Maher, Kimmel, Colbert, Fallon? You let us know, what show are you tuning into, if any at all, and let us know if you've tuned out all the late night. Folks, let's dive in. Panel of excellence. You don't want to miss this one. Christian Toto, he's so good. All right, folks, out of Variety, Jimmy Kimmel on what it means to be at the forefront of defending democracy. The late night, not so funny comedian, Disney's own man, had this to say about defending democracy from the Orange Man. I just wish he'd defend his ratings more.
Heavy thoughts, and I have a tendency to reject them. I don't necessarily feel like I'm defending democracy, but I do feel like I'm giving this guy a little poke, and he deserves it, and I enjoy it, and I love that people enjoy it too.
You know, the tone in his voice when he says that he's giving him a little poke and that he deserves it, it's a little weird. In fact, I'll play that part again because it's a little weird how emotional he gets in it. I would even put this in the category of maybe deranged.
I do feel like I'm giving this guy a little poke, and he deserves it, and I enjoy it, and I love it.
It's when he says, I enjoy it. A little weird. All right, let's go to HollywoodandToto.com. Folks, if you're not yet bookmarked, well, you should be. By Christian Toto. Who's that? What are you laughing about, Jonas? What are you giggling about?
I'm just picturing him like an elderly, like older Hollywood guy on his back porch. I have a little mutton. My doctor says it's good for my health. And, I give him a poke.
Give him a little poke. Jimmy Kimmel Press beclown themselves over Democracy Live. The so-called truth teller covered up a dementia-addled president. Here's what we've got out of this one. It says he was the rodeo clown who dared to mock President Barack Obama and caught hell. As a result, he faced death threats and suffered a lifetime ban from the Missouri State Fair. You remember that, folks? You mean the guy who was having some fun? Well, it's not fun to be the one who gets singled out and smashed down, but that's what was going down back in those days. It says, guess who didn't speak up in his defense? Jimmy Kimmel. Flash forward to 2025 and Sunday's Creative Arts Emmy Awards presentation. Kimmel walked the red carpet at the event, and the press dutifully played in the false meme that President Donald Trump is censoring comedians. Legacy media outlets pounced and seized on that theme following CBS's delayed cancellation of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. That's despite a complete lack of evidence that Trump had anything to do with the move. The president did not force CBS to lose $40 million annually on the far-left talk show, nor did he stop Paramount, the same company that canned Colbert from shelling out $1.5 billion to the team behind South Park. They've been skewering Trump week after week, and I would say it's not going well for them. An unnamed reporter asked Kimmel what it feels like to defend democracy. It's a terrible question based on a false narrative, but Kimmel, who is prone to sobbing when elections don't go his way, took it seriously. Very seriously. We're going to play this from a different angle, folks. Let's see if I've got this. We'll click it and see.
Those are heavy thoughts, and I have a tendency to reject them. I don't necessarily feel like I'm defending democracy, but I do feel like I'm giving this guy a little poke, and he deserves it, and I enjoy it, and I love that people enjoy it too.
You know, I'm not.
Does it weird anybody else out that his little poke was like angled upward with like an upward thrust to it,
like a prostate exam? It's bizarre. But I'll tell you this too.
Snap there when he did it.
I'm not a professional when it comes to body language, but I have had some experience in this sort of thing, and I'm just going to tell you, the fact that his mouth turns down when he talks about it indicates to me that maybe even subconsciously, he actually, like, when he thinks about Trump, some red light goes off in his head because he doesn't present us with the typical way that a comedian makes a joke. He actually scowls while he talks about it. And that's not a very funny, and we can subconsciously perceive that. Like you can actually, the typical reaction is that you will have a feeling of discomfort. Now, Christian, I don't want to read the entire article because I want people to go read it and see it, but I'm curious about your assessment of this, that Jimmy Kimmel, like, this is a serious question, they believe in Hollywood, that he is defending democracy. I don't see that he is the lighthouse on the hill. How do you see it?
It's the first time he's made me laugh in a while, but not with any jokes. First of all, it's his job to make fun of the president, whoever the president is. By the way, if he's going to give a president a poke, he should do it to Biden, because he was asleep in a fundraiser. He froze up. And then later on, Jimmy Kimmel said, "Oh, no, don't trust your eyes. He didn't freeze up. That's a cheap fake."
Right, call people liars.
He's an absolute fraud. And the fact that he used to run the Man Show and now he's crying on TV when elections don't go his way, it's really shocking. I just put this on Twitter just minutes ago. I was like, at what point do we say that these are bad people? Listen, it's one thing to be an ideologue and to be right or left. I don't care about that. But, he has a piece out, I think yesterday, basically downplaying the crime in Chicago. How many young black men are dying in Chicago week after week after week, and nobody gives a damn? Why can't he give a damn? Why can't he use his pulpit to say, I hate that Trump guy, but, it's got a point. There's horrible crime in that city. A whole generation of young black men are just being wiped out. We need to do something. Even if he doesn't have the answer, let's do something. Or maybe make a joke pointing out the local leadership, but he just can't do any of that.
Well, Christian, and you tell me what you think about this, because you and I haven't had a chance to talk about it. And I think, I'm very hesitant to use the word deplorable for obvious reasons, but I don't know what else to say about the man. His wife was bragging that their kids were flipped off on their vacation in Wyoming because they were at a Trump rally. Now, if you go to the pictures and look at it, we don't have them up on the screen right now, but if you go look at it, they were at a protest where they were holding these very obnoxious signs in a very red state. And I know that Jackson Hole is not necessarily indicative of the rest of the state of Wyoming, but they're at this rally. They have these very abrasive signs, and they have their kids standing in front of them. Now, these are little kids, right? These are not teenagers. And I just think, if your time off from your show involves you going to a rally in a red state, there will be no effect whatsoever. Not a single mind will be changed. But your kids will be yelled at because you've used them as a human shield. You've put them in front of you. Your kids will be yelled at as people yelled at you, and they will see obscene gestures. I just think you're a terrible person. You're genuinely awful.
Yeah, I would never bring my kid to anything like that, for sure, for starters. And also, listen, if you really wanted to make a difference, a genuine difference, he would bring on like a Ben Shapiro onto his show and have a civil debate and talk about the ideas and the issues. And maybe through that exchange, some hearts and minds will be changed. I mean, if he's so full of righteous indignation and he's got truth on his side, then he might do that, and he might risk that, and he might open up his platform to new voices and to new arguments. He doesn't want to do any of that. He's just a bully. He's a bully with a bully pulpit.
Now, I do want to say, he does have the pulpit, but I'm not sure he has the congregation. So, because think about this. He got Stephen Colbert an award, basically, right? They engineered this for him to get the award. But Stephen Colbert was losing $40 million a year, allegedly, reportedly, lost his audience, and lost his job. But he gets a tiny little trophy. Jimmy Kimmel is actually worse in the ratings, is now saying outspokenly that he might not come back, like he doesn't know what his future is. He says that in some of these interviews. But also, if you look at what Jimmy Kimmel received his own award for, it was for being a game show host. Well, we covered a month ago, Christian, that the ratings for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, starring Jimmy Kimmel, they're abysmal. They're like, I don't even remember the number now, but it was this tiny percentage compared to what Regis Philbin had. Marvin, do you remember the numbers? Jonas, do you remember how low those were? How low was it? Was it 1/5, 1/7, something like that?
It was to the point of not even wanting to commit it to memory. It was an indication of the decline of linear in general, but more than that nobody wants to waste their time with this as they're drifting off to sleep at night.
Right. But, so they're all getting awards. They're all getting little tchotchkes. They're all getting little paperweights. But they're awards for losing. Literally, they're awards for losing. So I don't know what to do with that except feel sorry for these people. And Marvin, I do feel sorry for them because I do not want to live as Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert live. I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for my family.
No, it is. Honestly, I think that there is not an hour of this man's day that goes by where he is not thinking about the president It's kind of sad, to be honest, and just no matter how low his ratings have to sink. I mean, so he was just off for the summer, where there was all this talk about partisan comedy, and meanwhile, Jimmy Fallon had Greg Gutfeld on his show, popped the biggest rating the Tonight Show's had in years. And what does this guy do? He comes right back on the scene, immediately starts in on the president again, called Trump woke, and then called Trump woke, insulted his weight, and then announced that instead of Gutfeld, he's going to have Stephen Colbert as a guest on his show in a few weeks.
Okay, so we've got the stats now. Let me pull it up for you guys, okay? I had to go back and see what we'd reported on. Here's what it is. I want people to know what he got an award for, because he received, the reason he's there, the reason he's talking about defending democracy is because he got a little trophy. And his little trophy was for doing this. He was the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Now, we ran an article. Nobody wanted to talk about this at all. But back in July, we said Jimmy Kimmel ratings for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire are shockingly bad as media run cover. Now, let's go to, okay, so under Regis Philbin, the initial primetime run of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire had 14.4 million viewers. It rose to 24.9 million viewers the next month. At its peak, a single episode drew 35.6 million and achieved a staggering 12.41 household rating. Okay? That's where Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was under Regis Philbin. And we didn't just cherry pick the first season, we went and talked about future seasons. So, okay, let's compare it again. Everybody remember this number. Everybody remember, okay? Hang on to this. 35.6 million viewers. All right, that was the max. 25 million is where it was when Regis Philbin had the thing going hot. So 25 million, here's where it is now. The ratings, it says, are a shadow of the past. The premiere with Jimmy Kimmel scored a 0.38 rating in adults 18 to 49 and drew roughly 4.24 million viewers. Okay? 25 million under Regis Philbin, 4.25 under Jimmy Kimmel, and he gets a trophy for it. That's where we are. So there's no success in this. It's just them losing and pretending they're not, and drinking their cocktails with their little tiny trophies and, tail between their legs. Jonas, am I missing it?
No, I think these are a lot of people that they've gone from working class here. Well, in Jimmy Kimmel's case, he was the schlubby working class contrast of Ben Stein on a Comedy Central show. Obviously a comedian, heavily associated with Adam Carolla. Again, very much on that working class vibe. And now he's a guy who is mentioned in the same breath as the president often, or rather the president is mentioned in the same breath as him every single time. He's very much lost touch with the audience in general, and he has nothing to hang his hat on, the same way that recording artists can completely get away from their audience, and all they have to write songs about are how rich they are, because they have no real struggle in their life other than the emptiness. I think he's got nothing here. There's nothing for him to hang his hat on. There's nothing for him to be a comedian about. There's no niche for him to take hold of here, and all he's got left is, guys, I'm going to make a revolutionary statement. I don't like Donald Trump very much.
Yeah, I think that the worst thing that Kimmel has to face is that he has to think about this, maybe. And maybe he doesn't want to think about this, but I'm gonna present it to him. How often does Jimmy Kimmel think about the Orange Man on any given day? How many times does the Orange Man think about Jimmy Kimmel on any given day? I would say those numbers are not quite the same.
What's funny is Jimmy Kimmel has a writing staff, so he's also paying other people to think about Trump for him.
Remember when he hosted the Oscars and he got up there and he read Trump's tweets about the Oscars live on the air? I was just like, who wants to hear this?
You know what he said about me? Anyways.
Apparently not many people want to, Marvin. I think you're exactly right when it comes to that. Well, folks, we've come to the end of another video of pure excellence and fun. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. That's what we hope you believe we've just done. And why should you believe it? Well, because we've done our very best to make it so. To be true, to be factual, and to do what the mainstream so-called access journalists simply won't. Folks, you can help share this out across the fruited plains of YouTube by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, Click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, as we get ready to say sayonara for now, we ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and whatever you are and whatever you're doing, keep having fun.
Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun.
Want it all, so I give them cannonball. Yeah!
Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio.
Arizona. Pineapple pizza, Hawaiian ice freeze, yeah. Can't wait to be up. 3 days of you and me.
What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.